Well,
All right.
guys, I'm on today with one of my BNB members, Matt. Matt, I want to pass it over to you. Maybe you can start off by just introducing yourself, who you are, what you've been doing over the past couple of years, and then we'll have a little conversation about BNB, of course.
Absolutely. My name is Matthew Neal. Over the past few years, I was working at a launch pad and last year helped to sell that launch pad. I've been working with projects over the course of the around 2.5 years. Many different projects, different narratives, getting them launched in Web3 from start to finish to IPO. That's been a really great experience. I come from, a tech background, as working globally with different brands, but been in crypto for a while now. But definitely wanted to learn more strategic skills to just brush up on, my know-how, so that I can compound my gains and always have an edge in the market.
Of course, absolutely. So, what was your overall experience like with crypto before bull market blueprint, investing wise?
Um, I mean, at that time, I was investing in the projects that I was working with. To be honest with you, like I was, every project that came our way, because of the work that we put in, they would give, our allocation were those tokens. Getting in at pre-sale, but I was just in the regulars, I was in the Bitcoin, I was in, Ethereum, but I didn't venture out any more than that. I think more so just from the scarcity mindset, and being extremely careful. But I definitely was limiting myself by not branching out and not having that portfolio structure and strategy like I should have.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that for sure. So then what made you actually start looking for help when it came to your personal investments in crypto?
Well, I knew that there had to be a better way. Um, I spoke to quite a few other investors that have played the long game, and for a few years I was day trading. And I did well sometimes in day trading, but then the emotional aspect of it was just not, it did not fit my lifestyle. Looking at the charts all day, the corrections that came randomly and not really understanding why these corrections happened, it just didn't fit my lifestyle. I didn't want to be stressed out. I didn't want to be looking at the charts. I didn't want to be emotionally stressed, day in and day out. So I knew that, hey, I need to have a long-term strategy. And everybody that I spoke to that's been in crypto for the longest, they would just tell me, hey, the long game is the way, the long game is the way. And so once, I started seeing your content and you were just, teaching, the long-term strategy, I knew that, okay, let me learn a little bit more about Luke. Let me see, what he's talking about. And I come from a place of authenticity, and you come across extremely authentic, straightforward, personal. And I had to check in and see what you were about.
Awesome. And on that note of content and finding me, like, how did you specifically find me in Bull Market Blueprint? And what were the things that stood out to you from the content and from the sort of like the surface level stuff you could see about what it is that I did?
Well, I saw how much work you put into your reels. So I initially found you on Instagram, and I also have a creative director background, so in the arts, and I really enjoyed how much work you put into your reels, and I appreciated that. And you were teaching me. I would go through I would just binge watch so many of your reels, and I was learning. And I said, wow, there has to be more. So then I think you had your YouTube within your bio, or I just looked you up on YouTube. I can't remember that process, but I found you on YouTube. You had some interviews up with clients that you worked with. Watch those as well. I needed to read as much as I could and watch as much as I could to understand who you were as a person. Because if I was going to invest in you, I needed to know that your character was the type of character that I wanted to invest my money in, making sure that I wasn't going to, get taken advantage of.
Of course, yeah, it's so important. And I mean, that's kind of funny. You're on the website watching videos, and here you are right now. You know, been
That's
very
true.
generous to offer up your time to do this with me, and I really appreciate it. So it's interesting how once people do see through maybe what isn't immediately clear online, but I guess if you dig deeper and you do your due diligence on what it is that we do with BNB, it's pretty clear that you can, come into the program, see results, and make it a worthwhile investment for yourself. Okay, so let's move on to talking about what actually made you pull the trigger to join the group. Like, what was the decision making process there? What intrigued you to say, okay, I got to do this?
Hmm. Well, not to repeat myself, but when I went through a few of your interviews, you worked with clients that were older than you. You worked with clients that were also successful in their businesses and they trusted you. And that alone, it gave me a little bit more of insight. Okay, he must be an honest person if other successful individuals who are business owners are trusting him to grow their portfolios. That says a lot about who Luke is. And then, last year, right before I joined, I saw where the market was. I made, quite a few terrible, poor decisions that I can't take back. And I knew that I did not want to go into, Q3 and Q4 of 2024 in that same way. And I needed to make a decision. I needed to make sure that my money was safe, make sure that my decisions were strategic, and also make sure that my mindset was where it needed to be. And I knew that I couldn't do all of that on my own. I needed to get coached by someone, taught by someone like yourself, so that the money that I had was used wisely, invested wisely, and everything up here was done correctly.
Do you remember any of the specific hesitations you may have had in terms of joining? Like maybe the cost of the investment to join, time commitment. Is this actually going to work for me? Like, what was running through your head?
Yeah, I would say the cost, the cost, the price. I'm gonna say the price, right? Because the price and the cost are two different things. I would say the price, I was definitely hesitant on because I pay for other groups and it wasn't as much as yours. But the results that I got out of the other groups, it was lackluster. It was very lackluster. I was not really taught. It was not really hands on. I was not shown real strategies. The people were not very transparent, and I felt like I wasted my money. And I didn't want to feel that way again. So once I found out your cost, I was a little hesitant, but I knew that okay, if this is the price of Luke's mastermind, then the cost would be much more if I didn't do it. And the cost would have been me going on another year without a strategy, me going on another year not being able to, make smart financial decisions, and even potentially losing everything that I acquired.
You actually came into the market at a relatively scary time. So in August of 2024, which is when you joined, the market was in a pretty significant downtrend and was scary. People were calling for the end of the cycle, and we were going to start a recession very soon in September, and the Fed was going to do this rate cut, and it was going to be a repeat of 2008. Like that was the narrative on Twitter when you joined BNB, and I remember that because it tends to be the case where less people decide to take action when it's scary versus when it's exciting. And when it's exciting, it's harder to get results. And when it's scary, it's a lot easier to get results because you're obviously buying the market at lower prices. You came in and you took action when it was scary in the market. And I think that's been a big differentiator in your particular degree of success with BNB because you took action when it was scary and you use the strategy that we have to start, getting into the market when it doesn't feel amazing to get in when it's red. Um,
Mhm.
how did you feel about that? Were you scared when you first joined because that wasn't an easy period in the markets? I mean, August was a red month.
It was, for me, it made sense. It made sense because I had already made poor decisions before, when I should have allocated more money, earlier on, and I did that. I did not do it because I thought I knew what I knew, but I didn't. And you probably heard of the phrase, scared money don't make no money. So
Yes, of
I
course.
had to do it. I couldn't be scared. And if I did let fear, get in the way, then two things were going to happen. My money was just going to sit there and not build, or I was going to invest it unwisely and lose it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to invest it wisely with a plan. The markets don't just sit for too long. Something's got to happen. So I'd rather at least have a strategy, um, whatever happened, to the market.
I couldn't agree more. So, would you say to anyone watching this? I mean, we're recording this late March of 2025. Market conditions will be different in the future at some point. But to anyone that's watching this in this sort of period of time where the markets have cooled off in Q1 of 2025 and there's a lot of fear and panic and people are not sure about what to do with the market, I personally believe, and I'm not just saying this because it's my business. I personally believe, because I know this as being an investor for 6 years, that the best times to invest and to focus up on strategy are in periods of time like right now, because they present all the opportunity. I mean, all-time highs don't present all the opportunity or nearly as much opportunity as panic and fear in the market. So if you had to give, any sort of insight to people watching this that are fearful of the market but also sort of hesitant about actually, joining a program and paying to join a program when the market doesn't feel sexy and exciting, would you say that's a mindset flip that people need to make and just say, hey, this is actually how professionals do it, and this is the time to take action versus when it's exciting?
Yeah, you have to just get in. You just have to get in. You're if you're looking for the perfect condition, it may never happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll keep looking and looking and looking, and then you'll see the markets at a height that is much higher than it is right now. And then you'll be looking like, man, I wish I would have gotten in. You don't want to say that. That's the worst feeling. I think many investors have that feeling, and unfortunately, we learn. We learn from it. Just get in, make that decision, and get the strategy. It's not even just about price, right? It's okay. The price might be here, but the price could go here. But the strategy, at least get the strategy, because the strategy is what's going to give you peace of mind,
Mm.
so that you know where it's headed, where it's going, where it's at, so that you can actually make informed decisions. Because right now, there are no informed decisions. It's not.
Mm.
If you have no strategy, all your decisions are, misinformed, and you're guessing.
Yeah, one thing that you said in there that made me think of something is I remember you telling me maybe 3 or 4 weeks after you joined, I wish I did this sooner. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. I wish I did it sooner. That's Yeah, I should have. I should have. But I was skeptical. I was sitting on the sidelines watching, you know, just not taking it serious, guessing, too busy day trading with leverage,
Mm.
being not when I shouldn't have. And a lot of the money that I lost doing that, I could have invested, wisely. But here we are now, made the decision. I got in, and I'm happy with the results.
Yeah. You know what? At some point, everybody gets in, and whether it's the best time in the world or not, if you give it a long enough time horizon, and I mean, really, the only reason to invest is to invest over the long term and for the rest of your life, anyways. Um, you're going to learn to take advantage of the opportunities when they arise. Maybe when you first
Yeah.
invest isn't the best opportunity, and sometimes when you first invest, it's one of the greatest opportunities. But if you
Yeah.
give it enough runway, you're going to be able to capitalize on all of it and beyond.
Exactly. Exactly. And we're still early.
Mm-hmm.
It's still early. When I invested, when I joined and, made the decision in August, I mean, the headlines, the news, the macro
It was
data where we're
bleak.
at right now, it was exactly. I mean, the conditions right now, if you don't see the writing on the wall, what more proof do you need?
Was there one specific thing that we offered in our service package that would, you say, make you or have made you confident to want to move forward? Was it having access to me, or was it the software? Was it a combination of things? Like, what gave you the actual confidence to say, okay, I'm gonna invest this money into this program, and these are the things that I'm getting, so I think it'll give me an ROI? Like, was there a specific thing that intrigued you?
There were two things. There were two things. And I only had enough information in terms of how much you would teach based on your YouTube and Instagram,
Okay.
right? So it's like, okay, if this guy is putting so much work into his Instagram and YouTube, teaching people that have not even paid yet. How much value is he going to give me once I actually invest in him?
Mm.
That right there was a huge deciding factor for me. And the second one, since I do come from a tech background, the fact that you had software, it it did it for me. It's like, okay, now he actually went out of his way to create, build, and pay for software to help other people. So you had skin in the game. It's not inexpensive to make and build software, and I understand that. So the fact that you did all of this showed that you had skin in the game. You put your money where your mouth was, and I needed to join.
Yeah, that definitely makes me feel good as a business owner to hear that as well, because that was probably the most significant investment I ever made in my life was, uh, after the fact of getting into crypto, deciding to build an education and software platform for other people to replicate my success, investing in these markets. And it did, cost quite a bit of money to put things together. So I appreciate that you find value in that and that you found value in that even before you knew whether it was legit or not. So let's talk about you actually being inside of Bull Market Blueprint. What was your overall first impression once you joined, and how did you find the onboarding process and experience?
The onboarding was smooth. The onboarding was process was very smooth, easygoing. I appreciated that. It wasn't complicated. For someone like myself that was not familiar with a few key terms, you made it easygoing. And I just remember like my first call, the weekly coaching call that we have. Uh, it went over my head. Like a lot of it went over my head. It was a lot of information, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to? I just paid all this money, and I don't even understand what he's saying. But you encouraged all of us, newcomers, to do our research, to understand some of these, vocabulary words that are often used when it comes to speaking about the Fed or liquidity. When we're talking about global liquidity or looking up, different topics around the Bank of Japan, or there's just so many different things. You encouraged us to do our research, and I did it. And every single call, everything that you started saying was just clear and clear and clear and clear. And now I can watch your calls and I follow along so easily, and it's a good feeling.
Would you say you were able to get immediate value on day one from BMB?
One hundred
Like
percent.
once you onboarded? Yeah.
1,000%. 1,000%. The fact that I was able to go to, just for example, I don't know the exact day that I joined, but the fact that I was able to go from no strategy on like a Thursday to now Friday morning, Friday afternoon, having a strategy within 24 hours, it made me feel good. It's like, okay, the money that I have is now safe. I'm no longer blind. I no longer have this veil over my face in terms of what to do. And, that really gave me peace of mind.
Wow, that's awesome. I really love to hear that. I remember your onboarding call. It was great because you came to me and you said, I've got a decent amount of capital here from doing work in this space over the past couple of years, and I don't want to make any mistakes with it. I want to actually know that what I'm doing is legit. I don't want to take on a ton of risk, but I understand I'm already investing in a relatively high risk space, being crypto. So you understand my risk tolerance. How do I go about things? That's essentially what you said to me, because our
Yeah.
onboarding process and form gave me, a lot of information on you based off of you filling out that form for me and being able to go through it. So yeah, I think once we
Yeah.
got to the end of that call, it was pretty clear in terms of what I thought would make the most sense for you, for your goals, and for what you were looking to achieve. And I do remember you saying after the call that you felt like a fair degree of clarity. Yeah,
100%. Very
awesome.
clear.
How would you describe on the note of the weekly calls? Because you mentioned that first, being like, "Oh wow, I joined and I got to start learning how this stuff works now. This is not just your average signals group or Telegram chat where we're hyping each other up to throw money at the market. We're actually looking at the pieces behind why we should actually make these decisions versus not." How would you describe those weekly calls over the course of? I think you've been in BNB now for 7 or 8 months. How would you describe that 7 8 month period of watching these calls every single week live, asking questions, What have you gotten out of them?
Man, that's a loaded question. What have I gotten out of it? It's so I've gotten a lot of value, and me saying that is not even fair just to say the word value because it's even more than that. I've gotten clarity. Um, I know exactly where my portfolio sits every single week and why it's sitting there. And I know the choices that need to be made. I know the choices that should not be made based upon where the market is. Uh, you know, is is so much. It's so much. We're looking at the whole picture, right? It's not even price speculation at all. We're looking at so many spokes of the wheel that make up why the market does what it does. And it's more than I think anybody can do on their own. It's more than what any type of news house outlet will tell you. Um, yeah, it's it's really it's good. It's good. It's good.
So having access to that knowledge and how I've been able to compartmentalize all of these things that are happening globally with macro and obviously the micro of crypto, that's helped your decision making process, right? Like that's given you the confidence to say, all right, I am or am not going to make this move because I'm looking at XYZ and A and B, you know.
Absolutely. No, it has. It has. And I mean, I wasn't even before I started with BNB, I wasn't even, looking at, that type of data. But now it makes so much sense. I don't even if a person is not looking at that data, they're doing a huge disservice to themselves tremendously.
Yeah, I hear that a lot when people onboard. They're like, "Wow, this is not what I expected. This is a lot more information and analysis than I even realized investors had to do to get results." I thought it was a little bit simpler in terms of what you're looking at, but you look at a lot of stuff that I've never even heard of before. So
Yeah.
I think that's very important for sure. Let's talk about Alpha AI for a second. How has the software been used in your portfolio, and how would you say that's been a helpful part of the overall package for you in terms of managing your risk?
I mean, I check it. I check it weekly. The software that you have in there. It's nice because I know that with software, there's a lot of different data points that are there, and I'm sure it's connected to multiple different API endpoints where you're getting that data way more than I'm able to do on my own on a daily way or even weekly. So the fact that the software is there, it helps me with my decision making. It helps me to know when to get in or when to allocate. My the risk level that the market is in at that moment. So it helps me pause, right? Instead of just it takes the emotion out of it. It's not the only thing that takes the emotion out of it in terms of the strategy, but it's one of the reasons and one of the key parts that take the emotion out of it.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. In terms of some of the other resources that I offer up to members in the group, like, transparency of my portfolio and my positioning moves, when I'm buying, when I'm selling, like, on the pretty much on the minute, if I make a decision, I'm typing it in BNB as I'm about to execute what I'm doing. Um, how do you feel about that? Is that something that you expected to be part of BNB, or was that something you found out afterwards? Like, oh, I can actually, if I want to, I can put my confidence in tracking what Luke's doing.
No, I didn't expect that. But looking back, it should be that way. Just from my perspective, if a coach, a teacher or a mentor is guiding someone on something, they should have the freedom of speech, or to be able to show clearly what they're doing. That they're just not showing, everyone else like, hey, do this, but then behind closed doors, they're doing something else and making a different trade, or getting into a different position versus what they're telling everyone. But once I saw it for myself, I was like, wow, this is a good bonus. I mean, the fact that this goes back to the character part, right? Just okay, this checks off, who he is as a person, and the character that he has. He's letting me know, okay, he's upping his allocation in this position, or he's decreased his allocation in this position. He's showing me exactly why he's doing it. Okay, now he's sending me a screenshot of him doing it. Like it's it's very clear, it's transparent, and I think anybody that's having a coach really values transparency.
Yeah, 100%. It's like when you're doing a workout with a personal trainer. I mean, obviously you're working out with somebody who's in shape and tracking their
100%.
own macros and
Yep.
lifts and everything, of course. Outside of just crypto, or maybe even within crypto, I'll leave it up to you to answer. When it comes to the group, the community that I've built and the other members that are part of BNB, how has that influenced your growth, or has it influenced your growth?
Yeah, it definitely has, because I'm around like-minded people. When it comes to the mindset, I'm around people who also want to do better every single day. I'm around people who also are waking up, giving their best, at their business. Um, I've been able to network and meet some, tremendous individuals from the community that I probably would have never met, um, that have also helped me in my business dealing. So, the community is not just for crypto. I mean, there's people with businesses, from so many different, so many different categories, so many different industries, and I think that has been really nice. Just being able to kind of branch out and continue to grow my network.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. That's the way I wanted it to be from the beginning, because I found before starting it, one of the most valuable things I did for myself personally was investing in high quality communities and creating contacts through those communities. And I thought, combining something like that with a lot of value on the education execution side of things would be a win-win for everybody that's been involved. Um, why don't we talk about results for a few minutes in terms of what's changed since you've actually joined? Is there, regardless of whether you're comfortable or not, I'll leave that up to you in terms of sharing statistics. But what like tangible results have you been able to get from BNB? That could be portfolio gains, shifts in your mindset, better decision making, combination of the both. I'll leave it up to you in your answer.
Yeah, my portfolio has gone up tremendously. Thanks to BNB, I was able to, buy an apartment in New York and fully renovate it. Um, I was talking to the contractors today, and I wouldn't have been able to do that, without BNB, and being able to take trips with me and my family. Being in Asia, um, it's yeah, it's I'm able to do things that I wouldn't have been able to do, prior, or it would have taken me a little bit longer to do it, opposed to, the 7 to 8 months that it has.
Wow. I didn't even know that. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's very cool. Well, on the topic of upside, there's always the risk of downside. So, have you been able to avoid any major losses from being in BNB?
Absolutely. Yes, I have. It's, I would have been in some positions still if I was not in BNB, out of pure hope. The way that as we're in this call right now, in March, the way that the market looks, it looks, based on different things, it could appear as very hopeful, right? But as we talk about managing risk, I had to, make certain moves that managed, the risk properly to save, the money that I did make, the profits, and versus just letting it sit, hoping that something happens. And it's like, no, we all work too hard for the money that we get. We put in too many hours, and to just let it sit there and hope.
I couldn't agree more, for sure. If you could boil this down to one singular win that you would say is the biggest that you've had since being a part of BNB, like what would you say is like this is the win that I got out of being a member of the program?
Hmm. Hmm. Everything is clear, man. Everything is clear. I don't know how a better way to say it, but I mean, I speak to people weekly that have been in the markets, in crypto for quite some time, and their strategy does not even match with yours. And that's just because, they lack a lot of information. Um, and they're hoping that the past few strategies that work will also assist them this cycle. But unfortunately, sometimes the same strategy doesn't always work. So you've positioned us in a way to keep us educated and keep us informed with the right information, versus trying to play the game with the last or the previous type of education.
Yeah, I think that's a really great answer. I think if maybe I was to summarize what I see you getting the most value out of, I mean, it's not necessarily just the growth in the portfolio. Obviously, that's what everybody joins for. But I think more so it's the transformation in your overall confidence to manage your own investments. Like I think you are one of the members in the group that has really excelled with watching the content and taking it into their own hands and really making an effort to learn it. I think that's done a lot for your portfolio and for your success, but also at the same time, I think it's given you all the clarity that you didn't have back in August when we first talked before you joined. And now you have clarity, you have confidence, and I bet you probably have a fair degree less stress overall when it comes to this quarter of your life, or this corner of your life, I should say, where it's like, I know I'm good there because I have the right information to make sure that I'll be fine regardless of whatever the market throws my way.
Absolutely. No, and that's exactly it. I mean, and it's not just, we have the weekly calls, but you even send, market updates during the week before we get to our weekly calls. So there's never a point where I'm not sure. If I was walking down the street and someone asked me, where the market's right now, I could I could honestly confidently tell them exactly where it is, just because of, the work that you and your team have put in.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely certain you could do that because you've been a very bright learner when it comes to this stuff, and I see you even creating your own content now about crypto with pure confidence and showing people the way in your own community and part of the world. I think that's really cool. So to close things up, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I really appreciate you having this meeting with me. Who would you say that BNB is designed for? Like, who's the perfect fit for BNB?
Perfect fit. A patient person. You have to be patient. You have to understand that things are not built quickly. They are built intentionally. A person that is ready to learn, a person that cares more about, stability and clarity versus quick gains. That's the type of person, that BNB is for. Um, People, that really have, values in terms of, having their money work for them, in a long, safe, sustainable way versus quick, shaky, unstable way.
Got it. Got it for sure. What would you say to anybody watching this that is on the fence about joining BNB? Why should they make the decision to come on board with us?
If you're on the fence about joining BNB, do your research. At the end of the day, just like crypto, right? Do your research. Luke has created so much content where you can do your research. His YouTube, his Instagram. Now he's providing value through, on Instagram. I think Luke's Brain, where you're able to get more insight. Uh, so you have different avenues to get an understanding of the value that he's giving you, for free, for free. And, look at the videos, read the comments, see what other people are saying about him, that are, when it comes to people that trust him and, and things of that sort that can provide some value and perhaps give you a little bit peace of mind on who you're working with. But also understand, like, there's always a price and a cost. The price is for his services, but the cost is the result of not taking action, and that's just the honest truth. You have to make a decision. If you're going to do it, you will be better in better hands. But if you don't do it, you're still going to be, thinking what if, or I don't know, or you're still going to be skeptical. You're still going to be unsure about every single decision that you're going to make. And if you're tired of being unsure, just make the decision. Trust me.
I appreciate that. There's quite a few people, I think maybe everybody starts this way in terms of their degree of skepticism. They don't know if it's going to work, right? They're like, crypto, if they don't know crypto, maybe crypto's like, I don't know, but I feel like I should know. And then if they're in crypto or they've been in crypto at some point, they've likely taken losses alongside making any gains if that's been the case. So I feel like there's a fair degree of skepticism around anybody offering any sort of services in this industry, whether that be software, coaching, resources, education. I try to do all of the above because I think all of the above is necessary for success. But some people will still look from the outside and go like, I just don't know if it's real. Like, I don't know if it's legit. I don't know if it's an actual valuable thing to invest in. And, you've been in the position of not knowing. You took the leap of faith. You joined the mastermind. You got results from the mastermind. Is there anything about the experience that you would say is not legit or not what you were expecting?
No, it's all legit. It's all legit. I've been around people that are legit, and I've been around people that are not legit. And I think I like to think to myself that I'm a good read of character, and I know the difference. And Luke is extremely legit. The fact that he has a team shows that it's legit. People will not work for someone that is not legit, especially if he's not taking care of them.
Mm-hmm.
So if he has a team, that means he's taking care of his team. If he's taking care of his team, that means he's going to take care of you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Really great answers. Well, Matt, I honestly couldn't thank you more. I think you're probably one of the best overall members in BNB in terms of how much you pay attention to the work that I put into the group every week. And I appreciate that because at the end of the day, of course, I built this to be a successful business, but I built it ultimately to deliver a lot of value to people and have those people appreciate the work that's put in because it is an unrelenting pursuit when it comes to financial markets, especially those financial markets like crypto that trade 24/7. There's always something happening in the market that can throw a curveball into your life at any point. So I appreciate that you've done your own fair degree of work alongside what I present every week in the group to make it worthwhile to you, and also to at least at the end of the day, I appreciate the people that actually care about the work and aren't just expecting to buy something and just get the results delivered on a silver platter. So that's
Yeah,
very cool. I appreciate that a lot.
no problem. Thank you for having me.
Anything else? Any final thoughts you wanna leave with anyone watching this?
You know, I like to be very honest, and this is for anybody watching. My wife knows that I'm on this call right now. If BNB didn't work, she wouldn't allow me to be on this call. I have a wife, I have a son, I'm a family man. And so, when I had my allocation, I knew that I had to treat it like gold because I worked too hard for it. And I was going to use that money to support my family. And so, with Luke's knowledge, with his expertise and what he's taught over the course of the past 7 and 8 months, my wife is very pleased with the results. Now I have, an apartment in New York that's going to be my son's when he gets older. So, it's helped tremendously. It's helped a ton.
Amazing. I'm honestly very proud as a business owner and somebody who's delivering the service to you and putting my best effort forward to make sure that you're actually able to generate tangible results from this and get value from it, that you've been able to do that. So, Matt, appreciate it, brother. Look very much forward to the rest of the journey ahead and watching us grow together and make this happen in this wonderful world of decentralized finance as it continues to blossom and grow into a worldwide thing over the next decade.
Absolutely, man. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
Appreciate it.